All right. Next, we'll be hearing from Leline, which will be talking about graphics and fonts and presentations. So,
thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. So, hello again. I'm Lalan, and here's my presentation on how to tell stories with presentation slides. Next slide, please. So, the first thing first, we have to know color palette. So you see, here are three main topics that I will be covering in my presentation: color palettes, graphics, font, and text. First things, color palette. So to actually know what color palette actually is, we'd have to dive in what color theory is. So next slide, please. Here is the color wheel, which was originally developed by Isaac Newton. So what is color theory actually? Color theory delves into the concepts and rules behind using color. So like each and every single color that you use in your presentation have a meaning behind it. So be careful when you use different colors in your presentation next time. You see, entrepreneurs, marketers, artists, graphic designers, you name it. Everyone can benefit from knowing a little bit about color theory. When you know the basics, you'll have an easier time choosing the most appropriate colors for your next project, product, and artworks, and especially your next presentation. You see, on the color wheel, when you see there are different sorts of colors. But when you mix and match different colors, you create different color groups, such as secondary, primary, and tertiary. So that means that if you are even mixing, matching different colors without even knowing the color theory, that is completely okay. But do keep in mind that different colors represent different messages. So be careful of that. Next slide, please, where I will show you an example of how you can use color theory in your presentation slide. Here is an example slide. This is a slide about different challenges that people feel when presenting a presentation, but we have to focus on the colors that are used in here. We can see that there are three main colors used. So aquamarine green, or it even has a bluish shade to it, and yellow, not too bright, not too dark, but the one that pops out the most is actually pink. Now, notice how the title of the presentation slide, challenges, is actually written into the circle, whilst color is popping out the most in the whole slide to emphasize and highlight the title of the presentation. And secondly, the body paragraph is actually written on a different colored slide part, where you can see that the color is actually slightly darker than the opposite color to not overshadow the whole information on the slide itself. This is how you can match different colors and to highlight different text, such as the title. You can use different popping colors, such as neon, or secondary colors, which are like bright, to emphasize on your main message. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is how you can choose different colors varying on your theme. As I mentioned before, different colors mean different meaning. So if your presentation is suppose about mental health in the workspace, you can use more like pastel colors, such as green, blue, maybe even purple. Some colors that represent calmness, helpfulness, pastelness, something that is a little bit more calming because that is related to the theme topic. But if you look at the other example, which is predicting life in 2099, here we can see the different shades of blue are used, representing what comes to mind: futuristic, science-fi, cool, interesting. This is to actually show the difference between how the theme topic that you are choosing and the colors that you use in it actually have a huge impact. So first, identify which theme topic are you going for, and then choose different topics and try to practice like which colors go with the theme. Does this look good or does this look good? And with that, you will be able to create a much more visually appealing presentation slide. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's move on to the font and text, something that we all are a little bit afraid of when creating presentations, because there is so much that we want to actually tell our audience, direct the message, that we sometimes forget that how much text and font in our slides can not only just make us overwhelmed, but also our audience. such as this slide, like there's like too much text and you cannot actually focus on the title of the whole slide, which is like font and text. So let's move on and see how this can actually be avoided. Okay, so here are example slides. Again, different colors means different meaning, but if those colors are there to highlight different text and titles, you can be careful of how to organize your text on a presentation slide. Such as if you look at the slide on the left, the presentation framework slide, there is too much text. Don't read the text because like it is the same text, but it is like to show an example of how to direct the message. We write every single thing on the slide. Sometimes it is also because we're afraid to what we're actually going to say. So we write the whole speech, the whole script on the presentation slides. So to avoid this, what we can do is to make it even more well organized. See on the slide, on the right slide, where there's certain mission and vision, you can see red and greens are used to separate the two different topics. And with that, they have created short descriptions to actually represent what they want to direct the message and what their message actually is. And this is how you can like kind of use different colors to divide the text, make it short, and be on point. So like not exaggerating the text. Next slide, please. Now here are some of the tips that I can give you on ways that you can organize your slide. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, my camera just turned off. Let me open it up again. Okay, hope you can see me. So here are different ways to organize text. Like I'm speaking from my own experience, like how you can actually summarize, highlight key points, and use bullet points. So when it comes to summarizing, you can provide a concise summary of the main points of the key information from the text. You can highlight key points such as identifying the most important keywords or phrases in the text to use them to convey the main message, and using bullet points or numbered lists to highlight the most important content. But if you notice, one mistake in this presentation slide is how all the numbers are actually one, even though that there are three main points. So you see, mistakes does happen, but using these kinds of bullet points, you can actually summarize your text much more easily. Next slide, please. And moving on to our last topic, which is graphics. Now, graphics are actually one of the best things that we can use in our presentation because it adds a whole new perspective to the story that we're actually telling. Next slide, please. And here are some example slides that you can take a look at. Okay, graphic slides. So both of these examples are actually very good. I couldn't find an example of a bad graphic designed slide because like there are many people who actually use different graphics to make their presentation look visually appealing and use complementing colors so that their graphics, their title, their body text, all are highlighted in the same manner. But one of the other main reasons of why we use different graphics in presentation slides is to enhance comprehension and professionalism so that you can actually, such as the slide on the right, we can see that there's a character, focusing on a little box. And if I can zoom it into it, you can actually see that these are the did you know tips. I also wanted to use this tip in my presentation, but I wanted to include it in an example much more. So you see that if you use different characters, different graphics in your presentation slides to highlight more on the title, the body paragraph, or different resources as well, you can create your presentation much more betterly. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for that interesting presentation, Laline. I never knew colors could be so impactful towards meanings and understanding the presentation more. The artistic and visual sides of presentations, now that I think about it, are always the first to draw my attention. Speaking of, what are your favorite color combinations? Let's share them in the chat so we can all get inspired.